Hello, all of you. So, good morning to all. The concepts here once again. Yeah, anything specifically you want to discuss, or let me go with the flow? Hello, is the audio clear? Hopefully, it's clear. Yes. So yesterday we have seen the overall overview of the module 2, 3, and 4, and today what we'll do is we'll quickly look at the contents what we have. Okay. So if you have seen the textbook, you'll be aware. If not, this may be the idea what you're going to get. Yeah. So look at this chapter 5 here. If you focus on this chapter 5, okay, we have this process management. Okay, this is your process management. In this part, you have to look at first half you can remove, which means OS, a view of process and all that is not required for us as of now. PCB also is not required. So where you have to start from threads. From this part you start. Threads, okay. From threads you can go through. In threads also what you should know what is meant by a thread, what is meant by kernel, what is user level thread, all that. So this one you should know. This concept you need to know, kernel level and user level thread. Okay, if you go to this concept, click there, it will move on to that concept. Okay, again you click here back, it will go to the index. Is that clear? How to navigate you understood? Everyone? See, it's very simple to switch over and navigate if you have this PDF with you. So if you have threads concept, you click on this thread concept, it will come to this concept. You can go through it and read it, and again click it back, it will go to the index. I'll just show you clearly here. So this was the thread concept, right? You click on this, it will take you to the concept. Again click it back, you can go to the index. That node will go to the threads concept. Yeah, let us see here threads concept. The threads concept. What is the threads and how to use the threads? Okay, definition of threads is there. How to implement it is there here, right? How do we differentiate process and a thread? Okay, that also can be a probable question. How do you differentiate the thread from a process? And briefly discuss on the kernel level and user level threads. Okay, so this part you can see advantages of threads over process, something like that. Table F from 5.8. Let us see where is that here. So this can show the differences between the threads and process. What is that exactly? Okay. So this part we can see, and moving back to the next concept. Yeah, this one. Kernel level and user level threads. So kernel level and user level threads, what to understand here. This coding part may not be required. Kernel level threads, what they are. So this you can explain. Scheduling, how it is being done in kernel level threads. Similarly, user level threads. So this one. So these two diagrams, if you understand, then you can have an idea about kernel level and user level threads. Okay. So this can be a probable 8 marks question or 10 marks question. Sometimes they can give for 5 marks even. Okay. So that's about your threads and kernel level, user level threads. And further, if you go further here, it's all not required. You can go to non-preemptive. So that is 7th chapter. Let's go back to the index and see. All is not required for us. Let us go to the index sheet. This was your index sheet. Seventh chapter you should see, because process management there are two parts, 5th chapter and 7th chapter. So look at the 7th chapter here. So this one here, non-preemptive scheduling and preemptive scheduling. So in this one there are this is not required. This higher ratio is there, right? This was not there in your syllabus. Only these two, FCFS and shortest request next, these two, and round robin and least completed next. So this much. So read from 233 page to 240 page. This is very short. Let us view that. What is it? Preemptive scheduling. So first two we have. So this is the 90% of the case. Focus carefully here. So 90% of the case, this is what they are trying to give. This is the data they're asking. Most of the cases, in many exam papers, I have checked it. So with this information only they're asking. Are you clear with what I'm saying? With the data what we have here, so this table, so this is the question 90% of the case. But they can change anywhere, right? So let us say I want to replace from here 2, I'll make it 3 here and 2 there, and I'll change 5 here to 3 here. So you all should know it, okay? First thing is basically you practice this part, and if any changes also you should be ready to do it. 90% of the problems are given with this data only. This data, let us see what is happening here. So this what they have straight away given here. They have not explained how they got this TA bar and W bar. So you should, if you draw this diagram, and you can draw this waveform also, right? Along with that, you write some procedure steps, okay? So which they should feel like you did the complete process, and you should give an idea for the evaluator how the process is working, right? So, and you can draw this diagram also, graph also. This graph is very simple. You got this P1, okay, P1 here from 0 to 3, time taken is 3, so 0 to 3, and from 3 to again 8, P2, so see here from the 0 to 3 is P1, so 0 to 3 is P1, this one, and from there again till up to 6, it is P2, 3 to 6, 5 here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and again 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that. You can see this example 13 P4 started. So 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 P4 has ended, sorry. So P4 has ended, P5 has started here. P5 has started. It will end at time 16. Okay, you know that anyway, just I am trying to brief you out. And they are given some example of this FCFS scheduling, same example. And next is they can example of SRN, you can go to SRN. So these are the answers what you have got, and the representation what they have made, you can see, and how that graphs they got here, okay? All that you can analyze and just show how you got this turnaround time and weighted turnaround time, and the mean of that is given by TA bar and W bar. Okay, this turnaround time is in seconds. This also probably in seconds, because weighted, right? Weight it is, it's not seconds, okay? Weighted turnaround time it is, and this is your turnaround time. So time it is in terms of seconds. Okay, don't forget to write the units here, right? So that's about that. And if you go to the index sheet again, so sorry, one more scheduling is there right here, round robin, and this is about preemptive, sorry, non-preemptive. And going to the preemptive, so this was there but it's not required for us. Round robin scheduling, you can see round robin scheduling with time slicing they are given, okay? Round robin scheduling with time slicing. So the example what they are given, they have taken time quantum here 1, so it will take more time for us to do it. The time quantum is 2 or something, it will be easy for us to understand that. And this is performance they are compared with different time quantums, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15, 20. This will not be required, but okay. About LCM. LCN what input, same input what they have taken for all the problems, LCN problem they have explained. This was not required. And then we go on to 7.6.1. 7.4.2 to 7.6.1, let us go. 7.6.1. Yeah, 7.6.1 here. Case studies, you see here how the scheduling will happen in Unix and how the scheduling will happen in Linux. 7.6.1 and 7.6.3. How the scheduling is being done in Unix. So this first is given. Can be a probable 5 marks question. Next one is I'm just giving you overview of it, like a revision or just look back. So this one, scheduling in Unix. So this much if you study, okay, your second module is completed. This is not required, only Unix and Linux. Okay, so if you all have that numbers, I hope you all have the numbers with you. So it's 5th chapter and 7th chapter. Directly you can find out from here. Directly you can go here 5th and 7th chapter. I will show you index. See here from this index you can note down for second chapter, second module. If you don't have the numbers, I'll tell you the numbers. So second chapter, second module you go to 5th chapter. Module you can go here. So threads is there, right? So you can write threads for threads you can use 5.3. Okay, threads 5.3, and there only you can have kernel level, user level threads, everything will come. So 5.3 is good enough. After 5.3 nothing is required for us in 5th chapter. So you can navigate to 7th chapter, because 7th chapter is talking about scheduling. This one, scheduling part is 7th chapter. In this you refer 7.3.1. So this fundamental concepts are not required. So directly you can go to 7.2. Okay, this 7.2.1 and 2.2, these two, FCFS and SRM, these two are required. It is not required this one, and round robin and LCN. So these two are required. After that, here, what is that? 7.6. You should go to 7.6.1. Here, scheduling in Unix and scheduling in Linux. These two are required. Okay, that's about second module. Is that clear? You have prepared second module, everyone? So second module, probably I may give, let us say, 5 marks questions. Is that okay? Hello? Any one of you? Hello everyone, are you listening? How many of you are there? I just want to say hi to you. How many are there? Bhumika is there, Yashas is there, Inga Bhavani, good number of people are there. Oh, 10 people are there out of 70, very good. Yeah, okay. So textbooks, you should know which part to read and which pages to read. So what I suggest you is to, while preparing now itself, you mark which, no need to look 2-3 times again and again. So 21 people, that's all. Okay, fine. What I mean to say to you is, you, let us say you have syllabus copy with you, right? You have printout of it, it's okay. If you do not have printout, you write the concept name and which part of that you should read from textbook you should write. Okay, so that you don't need to completely cover everything. So that portion you cover it up. That much only is required. Okay, fine. So next, moving on to third module, you can please note down if you don't have, you have not written that. If you written it's well and good. So third module, you should go for chapter 11. See this one here, chapter 11, memory management. This one, chapter 11, In that also I'll tell you what all sections you can see. Directly you can go to 11.6. All this is not given. Okay, 11.5 up to there is not given. Directly go to 11.6. Contiguous memory. Let me come back here. 11.6. Okay, you can also note down the corresponding page numbers if you want. 11.6 you study and 11.7 non-contiguous memory you can go to. 11.6, 11.7. Okay, so I'll just give overview of that later. Just I'll show the syllabus view later. Syllabus now. Next is paging. Third concept is paging. Contiguous, non-contiguous 11.6, 11.7. Paging 11.8. Segmentation 11.9. Okay, segmentation with paging. This one 11.10. Right, this much you should read from this chapter. That's all. After that, nothing else is required. So only this much. Okay, and again here there are a lot of things in non-contiguous memory. That's what I told. Just have an idea about memory allocation, how it is, and memory protection, right? What is non-contiguous memory? What is the logical address? What is physical address? What is paging? What is segmentation? All these definitions you need to. Let us start from here. 390 page. If you observe carefully here, it is 1 second. Yeah. If you observe carefully here, it was 390 page we are trying to see, right? This much is good enough. 390 here. Okay. 390 up to where we went, 400. That's all. 10 pages. That's all we have. Okay. At that too, kernel level memory allocation is not there. Only 399. From here to here. Okay. So let us go to 390 page and look at that. So contiguous memory allocation. So contiguous memory allocation, you should know this one, how the memory compaction is done. How the memory compaction is done. And what else we need to know? They are given subheadings here itself right away. You should know those concepts. See here, handling memory fragmentation, you should know. Handling memory fragment. What is meant by fragmentation? How internal fragmentation occurs, how external fragmentation occurs, all that. Followed by memory compaction. What is memory compaction? How to make us understand by seeing these three diagrams, memory compaction, that portion. And next one more is swapping. Okay, two things are there here to understand: memory compaction, swapping, and handling memory fragmentation. So three things. That's all. If you know these three things, the first topic is done. Contiguous memory is done. So next is non-contiguous memory. This is your second topic. In this, they have shown one example how this non-contiguous memory is being done. So understand this example. This example for non-contiguous memory allocation of to a process. Okay, you see this one here. Just this here is gap. Here there is a gap. Here there is a gap. Here there is a gap. This is called vertical lines. What has been drawn is called as fragment. Okay. Now, if you want to accommodate process P1, P2, P3 here, P1 is 50 KB. 50 KB is available here. I'll accommodate here P1. So I accommodated P1 here. P2 is 30 KB. 30 KB here is available. So in this place, I'll accommodate P2. P2 we got. Next is P3, 60 KB we require. So here 60 KB, in this 80 is there, in this 40 is there. I cannot use this one. So I'll use 80 KB for P3. I'll accommodate this space for P3. Out of 80, 60 I have used, 20 will be remaining. The 20 is the fragmented part. So that's what they are trying to show here as example of non-contiguous memory. Okay. And this lot of things are there, I told you, right, which is logical address and physical address. Always remember, CPU is going to use a logical address, whereas the hard disk or the external drive or memory is going to use physical address. So we have memory management unit to translate the logical address to physical address and physical address back to logical address. How that is happening is an interesting concept. You read this. So this is what they have explained in this. Okay, this is the way they have shown how this address translation is happening in non-contiguous memory. Okay. After that, there are some technicalities, you can go through that. What are the approaches they are using for non-contiguous memory allocation? They are using paging or segmentation. Either we can do it in a page format or segment format. Segment format, when we use, the comparison is there again here. This can be a probable 5 marks question, comparison of contiguous and non-contiguous memory. And, they'll ask you the questions like this. Define the following for memory management. What is memory protection unit? What is fragmentation? What is memory allocation of non-contiguous memory? what is memory allocation in non-contiguous memory, what is segmentation, what is paging, what is virtual memory, what is demand paging, all the definitions will be prepared. Okay, so memory protection and paging is given here, how paging is being done, examples they are given for paging. Okay, and address translation for paging. That's all about paging part. Next, moving on to segmentation. Segmentation, they can do like this. They have main memory, database memory, search memory, like that. We can partition as segments. Based on segment, how much size is required, that much address will be given for the allocation. Okay. Segmentation is like blocks. Like when you, some of the engineering colleges, what they'll do, they'll have separate block, EC block, CSC block, ISC block, which means they're separate building, their own way of doing it. And someone they'll do a centralized approach. Okay, so someone they'll do centralized approach, that's like paging, and someone who will do separate blocks, that's segmentation. Okay, and someone will do segmentation and central blocks also, like that. So segmentation with paging. So this is the best approach compared to segmentation and paging. Combining segmentation and paging will give you better results. So they have combined here. You see, before only main block was there. Now in main block again they made sections, partitions. So paging is like this. It is. Let us say this all is EC block. Again EC block, we have separate block for first year, separate for second year, separate for third year, separate for fourth year. Let us say we have 4-floor building. So first floor is for first year, second floor, second year, third floor, third year, fourth floor, fourth year. Like that we can divide. That will be a better approach. We can use the benefits of paging and we can use the benefits of segmentation. Okay. So this is segmentation with paging concept. So with this concept, that's memory management unit is almost completed. Okay, this is not required. So let us go back here. You see the textbook. So this much is good enough. 11.6 to 11.10. Contiguous memory allocation, non-contiguous memory allocation, paging, segmentation, segmentation with paging. Only 5 concepts. After this, we have next part coming up is virtual memory. So go for 12th chapter, virtual memory. This virtual memory, let us see what all things we need to focus on. Virtual memory. You see this virtual memory here. First concept is virtual memory management. So read the basics about it. So you don't know about this one, right? So read this basics, 12.1, this basics you read, virtual memory basics. Okay, that can act like a first part. Virtual memory basics, all that you can prepare. Okay, too many basics are there. Just try to see what is the concept. Okay, how can you visualize that with a diagram or something? Let us see. I'll show you once again. Next is demand paging. So demand paging, you see there are a lot of things here. Demand paging, what all to see. So demand paging, preliminary, it's the basics it is. And paging hardware, practical page table, IO operations. So too many things are there. Let us see what to do from there also. So demand paging, everything they have mentioned. Next is third concept is they gave VM manager. VM manager means virtual memory manager. So VM manager is third concept. And this only one is there, how the operation of VM manager is going to work, that we are going to see straight away. The next page replacement policies they are given. So page replacement policies, we have 2 of them, FIFO and LRU. So both we can see FIFO and LRU page replacement policies. After this, nothing they are given. After 12.4, straight away you go to case studies. So case studies, Unix and Linux. Unix memory operation and Linux memory operation, how is it done? They are given. So which means up to, let us say, 444 here, this many pages are not required. Only this is hardly 5 marks, like that you can prepare. So this part you can forget about it. So moving on to this one, how much pages we have? 444, 444, right? So we started from 410 up to 444, this much. From here, this much is there. This much is there for your syllabus. Let us say I'll copy it once again. Yeah, this much is there for your syllabus. Okay. You have to be prepared. Leaving the other two, which two I have left it, virtual memory in Unix and Linux. Okay. Let us see one by one here. I'll go to this virtual memory part. Definitions are there. When you're free, you read it. In exam point of view, now just read the basics. What's the definition? All that you read. Yeah. So they have shown. If someone asks you briefly explain the concept of virtual memory, you can use this diagram, which will show you how the logical address will translate to physical address by using memory allocation information or memory management unit. Okay, so this concept is already covered in the previous parts. So which is used in what translation of memory from physical address to logical address, right? Now where is the virtual memory? So here, this part, this extra module we got added for virtual memory. Okay, it's a very interesting concept. You read that, definitions are there. Okay, so that's about basics. They gave what they gave, paging and segmentation they gave, and they gave comparison, and they gave definition, demand loading, overview. So these many probable questions you can expect from the basic things of virtual memory. Okay, moving on to second concept. Second concept, demand paging. So demand paging, you see, you should understand what is meant by page, what is meant by frame, how you are going to give the memory. So read the first basics. Preliminaries you read first everything. So all the preliminaries you read how the address will go to translate it. Okay. So very simple concept it is. It will be interesting. If you read once, you will understand. Okay. So demand paging preliminaries you can read. Right. So like this they'll ask. I told you right. What is meant by page replacement? Okay, what is memory management, what is page replacement, what is memory allocation, all that. So briefly you hear what is the important thing is, these two are important. Which two? Let us see. Demand loading of page, this one, demand loading of page, and next is address translation virtual memory. Okay, what is the concept? I'll just brief you out. You can read and understand from that. The idea here is what you know. Uh, memory Memory is like CPU will have logical address, okay, and the other side we have physical address, and the physical address also what they have did they made into segments, and further segments they made into pages. Okay, now how to understand, how to make the memory understand where exactly it is located. Okay, so here the concept is uh, yeah, I'll just give a background to you so that you can recollect that easily. Listen carefully. Here memory we have, right? So memory is like your RAM. Understand carefully. Memory is like your RAM. This one. This portion is like your RAM. Okay. Now why virtual memory concept came? As RAM memory is completely full, for temporarily we are storing the data in the RAM in the hard disk. Okay. Temporarily we are trying to store. Okay, I want to give the complete background. So 5 minutes please focus. So you'll understand demand paging very easily. Okay, listen carefully. So we have two memories, RAM and ROM. RAM is limited, 2 GB, 4 GB, 8 GB, that's all. What about ROM? ROM is not limited, unlimited data we have, 1 terabyte up to 100 GB, like 200 GB, like that, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte we have, right? Okay, so what is the concept here? The virtual memory is whenever the RAM is full, the RAM is getting overloaded and operating system is getting slow. So when you use operating system concept, what they'll do, how much amount of RAM space you have, that much amount of dummy RAM space I can create on ROM. That is called as virtual memory. Okay, whenever RAM is like processor, whenever your processor is getting heated up, then I'm going to use the concept of virtual memory, and I'll take support of the hard disk. Hard disk also, some portion of the hard disk memory will act like a RAM, so that the load on RAM can be shared, so that the system computing can be improved. So that's the whole idea about virtual management or virtual memory. Okay. Now what we are trying to do, okay, you are trying to load something from RAM and putting in ROM. Fine. But how can I do it? How system is going to do it is what they are going to explain in this. Okay. Inside this memory, let us say ROM, the ROM is made into segments. This is one segment, this one segment, the other segment. And again from segments they made into pages. Okay. Now how do you understand, how do you get the data from there to RAM? Using memory management unit is what is the topic. That is called as address translation unit. Okay, you see steps here, first step, second step, third step, and fourth step. So these four steps, if you read and understand, you're done with the concept. Please read. Any still doubts or clarifications, we'll have a discussion later point of time. It's an interesting concept to read. If you understand this right, you are fit for any of the employment. Why? Because so it's a bit complicated initially, but when you start reading, you get interested into it and you read more and more. Okay, so that's the complete idea here. Okay, and this one, what is this block? You know, okay, whenever the memory is going to call some of the blocks, and that it's telling that the block is not available. Sorry. So that's saying that the block is not available. If the block is not available, what this VM memory, how it is handling, that is called as demand loading the page. Let us say someone came to the college asking you, I want USN number so and so. Okay, and the college will say that that USN number is not there in our college. They didn't came to the college. Then what your father is going to do, or what your parent or guardian is going to do? They thought that you are in the college. They came to inquire about you, or they came to talk to you, right? Or they came for some other purpose, and you are not there in the college, and you home you told like you are in the college. What will happen? That story, what will happen in step by step here in the virtual memory, they will tell 1, 2, 3, right, and 4, 5, 6, and 7. So like that, this all these steps are like that. First it will ask for this, it will check in this, second one it will check in this, then it will check, tell that, see it's like your parent is coming to the college and asking that where is my child here. After that, third page fault will occur, indicating that you are not there in the campus, you are not there in the campus. Now what will happen now? You are somewhere available, right? You take fetch it up, and then you're being stored in the hard disk. From that hard disk, I am trying to pull it back to the virtual manager. This virtual manager is going to pull it back to the memory. Okay, so like that it is. So it's an interesting concept. I'm just narrating you to create the interest with some stories. So, but if you read this concept, right, these two are very good concepts. You try to learn these two concepts whenever you're free. Address translation, and also what is this? Demand loading of a page. So these two are very interesting concepts. Okay. Right. This is a very simple concept. Just trying to show how this is getting loaded, and how to protect the memory. So this is also one of the interesting concept after that, how to protect it, how to protect the memory when you are translating from one to one, right? So how do we protect it is what they are doing. These three concepts you read, they are interesting concepts. Okay. That's about demand paging. Next we go to VM handler 12.3.1. This all may not be that much importance. At 12.3.1 here. Overview of the VM manager. This one you can go through. So this diagram you can explain how the virtual memory is going to manage the things. Okay. So there are two things here. One is data flow, one is control flow. Whichever is thick line is your data flow. Whichever is dotted lines, that is your process flow, or let us say control flow. Okay. So VM handler, you can explain this. And next is, very interesting problems we have, that is page replacement policies. Okay, so if they'll give the question like this they'll give. You see the old question papers which are uploaded in the team section. You can see this here somewhere. You can see the assignments now, file section. You can go and you see the old question papers. I will show you what gets loaded. How the question of the, I just want to show you how they are going to give the questions on page replacement policies. If you have seen it, you will understand it. If not, I just try to show you what is that. Okay, let us complete here and come back to that. Meanwhile, it will load. So this what page replacement policies, they explain like this, right? Also explain in this manner. So like this, yeah, this is the question. So this is the question. Most of the time they are going to give like this. So model question papers. So hopefully this is there in that paper. Let us see. One paper I have seen that. So let us go to the recent paper. Okay, like this it is. So page reference string diagram 5 for T1, 4 for T2, 3 for T3, like that they are going to give. No, it is. Page getting zoomed, but this paper is not getting zoomed. So let us zoom here. Okay, all right. Look at this problems like this they are given. FCFS and SRN, RR and LCN like this they gave. What about next problems? Yes, you check this problem. Page frame is 3 they are given. See this one, you can see this. Let me zoom in further, still more. So see this one. In 1 second here. Okay, you can see this question. Explain FIFO and LRU page replacement policies. They are given for 5 marks each one. FIFO 5 marks, LRU 5 marks. But they gave luckily page frame is 3. If they given the frame size as 1, that's all. It will go take you a lot of time. Right? You practice properly this FIFO and LRU. It will not take too much of time. Okay, like these questions they are going to give. Okay. So that's about page replacement policies. You can explain in this way also. So this one way you can explain, or above they again some other, right? That way you can explain before an LRU, and you can explain them why you have taken that, what is happening. These graphs and all just they are given for comparison to understand. It's not required for exam point of view, right? And then 12.8.1 will go. Yeah, Unix, how the Unix is going to use virtual memory concepts. Okay, and then how Linux is going to use the virtual memory concepts. So these two you can just brief out. Virtual memory concepts, how Linux and Unix have been done, right? So that's about your third module. Fourth module anyway I have discussed with you. I will just show you what is there in the textbook. Fourth module you should read 13th chapter. 13th chapter you need to read. I will just show you. 13th chapter here. So first one, let us go with file systems, files and file operations. IOCS, where is that? Here, file system and IOCS. This one, let us see. So this 13th chapter, file systems. What the diagram we have shown, right? Overview of the file systems. File systems and IOCS, this concept, this one. This much is good enough. File system and IOCS, the first concept here. You should read all this, and you should read the facilities provided by input and output. This is file system facilities, this IOCS facilities. Okay. Followed by file processing in a program. This also we have seen, right? File processing in a program. That is called as your 13.2 concept. Next we'll go. You understood that? What? How much is there to read? The first concept. I'll just glance you once again. Yeah. This one. From here it will start with file systems, 13th chapter. And that first one is overview of file system processing, right? This overview just for idea you can understand. Okay. This 13.1 diagram you should explain in this 13.1.1. This is the main concept. Which one? This one. File system and IOCS. This is the first concept. You can use the above diagram here for reference, for explanation of this. And you can explain what is the functionalities using table. And you can also use this file processing in a program. So this also you can use. Okay, that's first concept. Right? We have two diagrams and one table for explanation part. Next is file and file operations. So file and file operations, there can be structured files or byte stream files. How structured files are used, how byte stream files are used. They give an example here. First one is structured files. Next one is byte stream files, how they are given you and how they are going to operate. Okay, how to open, how to read, close, copy, delete, rename and privilege. So this much is second concept, file operations. And third one, fundamental file organization and access methods. So this is what they are given. This is your file, or this one you have to focus on, file organization. Okay, let us see where is the file organization part. So sequential file organization, direct file organization. The two things are there. sequential and direct file access, and indexed sequential file organization. Direct is there, so this is sequential file organization. Here you can see the example, sequential way and direct way, and other way they are given indexed way. So this is indexed way. Okay. How to access them? They are given access methods, and this is directives that we can take it up for the next idea. So up to here you need to go through. Let us go back to the syllabus contents. So 13th chapter. 13th chapter you should read this one, file system and IOCS, and files and file operations, and fundamental file organization access systems. 1 second here. You should read 13.1 to 13.3. Specifically saying 13.1.1, 13.2 and 13.3. So this 13.3 full you should go through. Okay. From 13.4 directives we will look at in the next class. Okay. So any other questions, any other things you want to know? The question paper is very simple. Question paper pattern is very simple. I have given you 3 parts, part A, part B and part C. So part A will be from your, let us say, one module. Let us say, for example, third module, which will fetch you how many marks, third module? Third module, how many marks? 30 marks. Second module, 10 marks. And fourth module, 10 marks. So like that, 3 sections are there. Any one paper, any one you have to choose. Okay, same. Yeah, that's all for today. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Yeah, is that clear? So question paper, I'll just once again brief you out. Module 3 for 30 marks, you know, module 2 10 marks, and module 4 10 marks. Okay. So module 4 we have 3 topics. So I have given straight away 10 marks question, right? And module 2 I have a lot of problems to be given. So I have given the 5 marks questions. Remaining all is your 10 marks questions. Okay. So prepare accordingly. Okay. Any other questions? If not, okay, thank you. Prepare well for IA and answer it. Stay happy and stay safe. Okay. See you on Thursday's class. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.